Hello everyone, welcome. This is the video guide for week 3 for the history of ancient philosophy. I hope you guys are all doing well, and I hope you guys have had a great break and a good start to the semester. As you know, we've been looking at the pre-Socratic philosophers. First we looked at a general introduction about Greek philosophy, ancient Greek philosophy in general. And we've looked last week at some of the core pre-Socratic philosophers. This week we're going to continue our discussion of the pre-Socratic philosophers. In particular, we're going to be taking a look at Leucippus, Democritus, Diogenes. We're going to even talk about the Sophist. We're going to talk about a text called the Disoi Logoi, which is an ancient text, a sort of very early philosophical text. Within that text, the Logoi, we're able to articulate the first sort of inklings of an important element of logic called the law of non-contradiction. We're also going to take a look at some of the other sort of sophists, including Gorgias, Prodicus, Hippias, Antiphon. We're going to sort of look at a lot of differing thinkers. Some of the key thinkers really to take attention to this week in your reading are the sophists. The sophists are traditionally and historically the sort of how do we say it? They're sort of the debate, the other team away from the philosophers. For instance, when we start getting into Plato's text here next week, we're going to see that the sophists are always sort of in opposition to the philosophers, in particular Socrates, Aristotle, Plato, so on and so forth. And so we're going to take a look at who the sophists were. You can see that the word sophist comes from the root word that philosophy comes from, was Sophia, which means wisdom. The difference here is that the sophists said that they were wise, whereas the philosophers sought to find wisdom. And we'll see that and the other thing is the sophists typically seem to argue for a version of relativism. In particular, Protagoras is the most important of the sophists probably. And where Protagoras argued that man is the measure of all things, of what is and of what is not. So Plato doesn't like that because Plato, and we'll see Socrates and the philosophers, don't want to believe that what's true is ultimately just dependent or determined by the individual, but rather should depend upon some feature of the world itself. And in Plato's philosophy, we'll see that he's going to articulate that with regard to his theory of the forms. But that's coming up much, much later. So we're going to sort of just get an introduction to the sophists today. One of the philosophers to take a look at, Leucippus and Democritus, we're going to see for them, they're really atomist philosophers. So you'll see that the video lecture this week really focuses on the atomist philosophers. And atomism being the idea that another answer to the question of change, another answer to the problem of the one and the many. The atomists will argue that ultimately everything must be made of these tiny little things that are indivisible called atoms. An atom is the actual word in Greek means no cut. The idea you can't cut something in half, so indivisible. So first off, when we talk about atoms, it's the ancient philosophical theory. It bears a lot of resemblance to our contemporary physical theory. The difference, however, is that in our contemporary physical theory, atoms are not indivisible. And at this point, we still have not found any sort of indivisible material substance. So it raises some interesting questions that we will touch on in the discussion. The other thing to mention here is, outside of the atomist philosophers, we're also going to doing our discussion this week. So this week you have a discussion board assignment, which takes place on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So make sure to log in at least once per day on those 3 days and participate in the discussion. So that's what we've got going on for this week. I hope you're enjoying the readings and enjoying the course so far. So it's good to have you, and I look forward to reviewing and getting posted all of your grades up to this point, okay? Let me know. Feel free to send me an email if you have any questions about the material, or if you'd like to set up a meeting with my online office hours, okay? Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys online. Bye.